Good morning, or afternoon by the time I post this. So I woke up the other morning, pretty much still half asleep, but I could hear my mother's voice talking about the friends. You know, the friends are coming over, or maybe we can get together with some of the friends. And I was just half asleep, and it was just one of those echoing in my head, the friends, the friends. And I kept thinking, God, that sounds so familiar. I mean, familiar beyond being raised with that term, and anybody who doesn't know what that is, the friends are fellow Jehovah's Witnesses. And for whatever reason, it was just one of those echoing, like in a movie.
Okay, when I introduce you, I'm gonna say, this is a friend of mine. That means you're a connected guy. Now, if I said instead, this is a friend of ours, that would mean you were a made guy. A capiche?
Yeah, friend of mine, friend of ours.
Oh my God, it does sound familiar. That's a clip from one of my all-time favorite movies. Actually, any mafia mob movies, pretty much like the rest of America, I super love. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of, is you have two different kinds of friends in the congregation. I'm sure there's probably more. But you have friend of mine, which is your unbaptized publishers, and you have friend of ours, which is what you become once you're baptized, once you're a made man. And I kind of thought about it and thought, I wonder what else they all have in common.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Or a pioneer, or an elder, or a Bethelite. When I was growing up, Bethel was like Oz. It was just this amazing place where amazing people were invited to go and do amazing work. One of the reasons I even clicked on YouTube videos from ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to begin with was it was a video by an ex-Bethelite, and to me that was like the holy of all holies. I mean, I was stunned. I was nervous, kind of looking over my shoulder still, but I was like, oh my God, one person from Bethel is going to tell about their story. And that was JT from XJW Critical Thought. I couldn't believe I was seeing somebody who had been in Bethel and who'd worked there. Now, of course, I watch all these videos, and it's amazing the people that have gone out and who are telling their stories, and it still floors me. But when I was a kid, we only saw pictures of the governing body. You know, I didn't know really anybody that had gone to Bethel. We might have somebody that visited our congregation that had made it up there, but basically Bethelites, like, they were really made. I mean, they were working their way up, and to me, they were the untouchables. I mean, they were amazing people. You strove, I guess, long term. I mean, you could think about maybe you could go to Bethel. This is what your goals are. Like I said, all my life, the only thing I ever wanted to be was a really good pioneer. So definitely there's some similarities there. Before I forget, I absolutely want to apologize for any directors out there who have created these brilliant films, which again, like I said, me and the rest of the world absolutely love. So I want to apologize to them for any insult of comparing your characters and your films to the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society, because I certainly don't mean to offend, but I can see how very easily some people might be. So to all of the makers, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, the Samuel L. Jacksons of the world, the Mike Newells, Al Pacino's, Joe Pesci's, I apologize. I feel a little bit guilty comparing them to the Jehovah's Witnesses. This is in no way to insult the movie industry, but the fact of the matter is, the organization I grew up in, there's a lot of similarities. So let's go ahead and get into it. I mentioned in previous videos that the indoctrination starts young. You want it, the congregation wants it, your parents certainly want it.
The dream of my life, a mafia connection.
The thing is, when you're raised in it, you don't even know when this happened. It's just part of your life. You don't remember ever even the moment when you wanted to continue being a Jehovah's Witness. It's just the way it is.
Hey!
You've basically been soaking it up your entire life. You go to meetings 3 times a week, you're preparing 3 nights a week, you have service, you plan on your speeches that you're going to give to your classmates, you go into the door since you're like 2 years old. Basically what I call study bait. They push the little kid up there because they look so cute, clutching the little magazines in their hands. And you're study bait. You're basically there to kind of lure people in who can't say no to a kid. And even at 5 years old, you know what shunning is. You know that you can't talk to the people who don't love Jehovah. Or, honey, he doesn't love Jehovah anymore. We can't talk to him. And go, oh, okay. And it's just part of your life. You basically don't know anything else. Now, I understand this process is completely different from people who study in. You might have understood and had experiences outside of the congregation that you can relate to. Usually you've had some bad experiences, and that kind of makes you therefore more drawn to being a Jehovah's Witness and the promises that they make you. But for those of us who are born into it, it starts at a very, very young age. I came across this letter that my mother wrote to me when I was about 2.5 years old. You really, really are brainwashed from the beginning. And you probably can't read the writing. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up. She still writes like this. It's probably her handwriting for meeting notes. Really super fast and only she can read it. Cassandra is 3 years old. So I was 3, I said 2.5. She counts to 17 to 19. She says her ABCs. She's proud and looks like her daddy, which is not exactly a compliment. He's a burly man. Cassandra loves her sister and helps her walk. She's anxious to go to school. So am I. She has many friends, all Jehovah's Witness friends, and thinks she's going to have a baby. Right. I tell her she's crazy. She knows Psalms 83:18 and answered in the Kingdom Hall with a microphone and is very zealous for Jehovah. So even at the age of 3, I was reciting Psalms 83:18, which most of us can, between that and Revelation 21:3 and 4, you can probably recite to this day. And the pride she feels, and I know that she lavished on me for answering.
Oh, you broke your cherry.
She's very zealous for Jehovah, and even as a child, that is said to you. You're so zealous for Jehovah. Jehovah loves you so much. Case in point, the indoctrination starts very, very, very young. And so if this is all I knew at 2, and then it was later on at 3, and then later on at 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10. Yeah, it's pretty much all you know. So a lot of people say, and I've even read in some of my comments, people say, well, why did you choose to get baptized? You asked to get baptized. Okay, well, if you've watched the rest of my videos, I never actually got baptized. But I hear it said to a lot of other people. First of all, let's remember, these are most of the times kids.
Don't ask for something, that it's a burden to you if you get it.
Who, again, don't have the right to choose what they want to wear to school or what kind of music they listen to. But they are entrusted with the direction of their spirituality and their basic soul at as young as 8 years old. And I would also argue that people who study, they also don't fully know what they're getting into. They are not, everything is not laid in front of you. So this is where I'm going to have to say that gangs, mafia, they probably have a leg up on the Jehovah's Witnesses, because when you join them, well, you know what you're getting into. You know their reputation. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say at that point, at least there's full disclosure with them versus if you join with Jehovah's Witnesses, because they don't tell you everything at the beginning. It's kind of fed to you much, much later on in a way that makes complete sense to you, and you just buy into it. So as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you go from loving Jehovah because you're told to believing it because he's the truth. It's the truth. It's just like potty training. They train you. It becomes natural. Everybody's doing it. Y'all look the same. You look around and you fit into this world the governing body has created for you, boxed in from everyone else. Jehovah's Witness rules are just like yard rules in prison. You follow them or there's gonna be a problem. And one day, you're not a teen anymore. You barely notice the walls around you or any pain your journey has caused because it's all you've ever known. You think you're happy. In reality, you don't know anything else. So whether you're born in or you're studying, you're in. And your world seems amazing. You're doing Jehovah's work. You're surrounded by friends and family. Your loved ones will be resurrected. You'll all live forever in a paradise on earth. No more sickness nor pain. And it never occurs to you that you're actually here under duress.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
So do Jehovah's Witnesses make you an offer you can't refuse? Yeah. Join our group or you'll die. Stay in our group or we'll go after your family. If you don't follow every single guideline we lay out, we'll cut you off. No one will speak to you. A little bit of duress? Maybe. Are they making you an offer you can't refuse? Yeah. So here's the thing. I have made it very clear that I love the people. I love the witnesses themselves. My mother's a witness. My heart goes out to them because I remember what it feels like, as I'm sure many of you do. The elders, I don't know. I think some have full knowledge of what they're doing, and I think that some are just as brainwashed and think they're doing the right thing. I think sometimes they don't speak out when they think they should. I think sometimes they go along. I think they have the questioning. I get on the fence as far as the elders are concerned, but the governing body, I will tell you, the governing body knows. They know what they're doing. They've planned it from the beginning, and they know how they're affecting the people.
Now just imagine, if the tenants cooperate, oh, it's lovely. I mean, they become loyal customers. They don't? It's like in Beirut. They become live-in hostages.
So welcome to your life as a Jehovah's Witness. They know what they're doing. It's deliberate. So now you're in. Now what? So just like the Mafia or any other gang, there's things that you take pride in. Whether it's your nice car, your jewelry, your money. For Jehovah's Witnesses, it's status. No different though. There's still that pride. You're not supposed to show it. You're supposed to keep it hidden. But there's definitely that pride.
Is she gorgeous? I bought it for my wife. It's a coupe. I love that car.
I can't believe this. What are you, stupid or what? Excuse me. What's the matter? Take it off.
So for Jehovah's Witnesses, who has more time, whose child was baptized younger, how many generations have you been in? Oh, I'm a second generation Jehovah's Witness. Fourth generation, yeah. You know, my family's been in from the beginning. They're always bragging about something. Who pioneered the longest? Who has more family members that are pioneers? Are you an auxiliary pioneer, a regular pioneer? Are you a special pioneer? What, you have a cousin that went to Bethel? They brag in a completely different way. Still comparable. And the reality is, in both worlds, beautiful on the outside. People see things that you want them to see, essentially. But on the inside, we all know it's a different story.
Michael Francis Rizzi, do you renounce Satan?
I do renounce him.
You're spying on each other.
Peekaboo, you fucks you.
You're love bombing, getting love bombed, bending over backwards to help another brother or sister. A lot of that is still self-motivated. And I'm not saying people aren't generally good people. In the congregation, you know, the more prominent you are in doing those good things, being an uplifting brother or sister, the higher your status goes, and the more you think you're getting respect.
One day, some of the kids from the neighborhood carried my mother's groceries all the way home. You know why? It was out of respect.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit about what it's like to be a sister and how that could possibly compare to mob wives. If you're married to an elder in the congregation, specifically, and I would say to any brother, because they're gonna, if you're married to somebody who maybe isn't a ministerial servant or isn't a brother, they're gonna be still striving to get to those higher statuses. And so basically you're gonna be sharing your husband with an entire congregation.
Well, we weren't married to 9-to-5 guys.
You share him with everyone. And if you're a sister in the congregation, you really do need to stay busy with understanding the workings of the congregation. This is called being involved. This is called caring about and caring for the flock. It is not gossip, ever. If you hear something, it is your duty to pass it along to someone else, you know, to keep the other members of the congregation safe. But it is not gossip, because gossip is not tolerated by the elders, the congregation, or the governing body. But you certainly know everything that's going on. Well, I'm sure you guys heard about young brother Smith. So sad. I heard a little. His poor father, oh Jehovah. Well, you gotta be careful to not gossip, but Sister Elders, you can tell us more. Well, if you think you've got problems, this ungrateful kid, the presiding overseer's wife saw his Watchtower magazine last Sunday, and it wasn't even studied. Not one line, not one note. Completely unprepared. They had to talk to his father, and it turns out his mother hasn't been preparing either. Now poor brother Smith can't handle the mics because he has to focus on his family's spirituality. But they're not gossiping. They're informing, they're being helpful. And it's very, very important to understand the difference.
Greg, she's drunk. Come on. As soon as something happens, you automatically make them out to be saints.
They had bad skin and wore too much makeup. I mean, they didn't look very good.
Those kids.
They looked beat up. And the stuff they wore was thrown together and cheap. A lot of pantsuits and double knits.
Yeah, that's kind of true. One thing you can say for the mob, at least, they know how to keep business private.
Don't ask me about my business, Kate.
Is it true?
Don't ask me about my business.
No.
The reality is, in the Jehovah's Witness congregation, how do we all know what's going on? I mean, we don't know everything. Some things, I will say, especially child abuse cases, I only heard of one incident. There was one brother in our congregation that gossip had gotten around. Truth had leaked out that he was a pedophile, and it turns out later that it was true. But for the most part, you can expect the elders, I mean, everybody has to have a confidant. Elders are going to tell their wives going to tell just their best friend. And it's like I say, in the regular world, there's no such thing as a secret. You tell one person, they got to tell one person, they got to tell one person, and eventually it gets out. So except for child sexual abuse, everything else is pretty much fair game. So this is as good as a place as any for a stopping point to part 1. If you'd like to see what happens next, stay tuned for part 2 of Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mob. And remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And as always, I'll see you next time.
I'm on the television!